So here we are at Robot Dog Studios under the watchful eyes and ears of Ryan Cohen and Sam Mark. Tonight I'm joined by the incomparable Aaron Flinn. How are you doing tonight?
I am great. Thank you, Tim. How are you doing?
Oh, I don't know. Somewhere between scared and elated.
Right on. Well,
yeah, it's been a wild few months, and so I've been kind of shut down, not going out and seeing anything, so I'm really excited to hear you play some music for us tonight.
Right on. Thank you.
What would you like to open with?
I'll start with a song off my last album. The album's Miss Ready Blossom and the Seed of Dreams, and it's got 14 hits on it. This is one of the hits. A song called Scattered Birds.
Nice.
All right. If you get too close, your vision blurs, turns all your love into shattered words. The wind will blow like you have never heard and make shadows dance like scattered birds. Well, you blink your eyes and you're out of touch now. This shit is real, man, you can't make it up. And you live your life like it is never enough. Well, it's scary to love someone so much. And you can live a broken life. You can play a broken part. You can chase a broken dream, but you can't break a broken heart. No, no, no. No, you can't break a broken heart. Well, there's no reward, there is only blame. If there's a devil, well, he knows no shame. And if I am me, I'll never be the same. If there's a God, well, she knows my name. You can live a broken life. You can play a broken part. You can chase a broken dream, but you can't break a broken heart. No, no, no. No, you can't break a broken heart. No, 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 no. No, you can't break a broken heart.
Yay!
Yay!
Yay, I finally get to clap for some live music.
Thank you. I finally get to bow.
Yeah. Oh, that sounded great. I love that song.
Thank you.
What was kind of the impetus for writing that song?
Wow. That's a great question. There's a bit of Warren Zevon that pushed me into that song, believe it or not.
Okay.
And a documentary on, gosh, why am I blanking on names? Daniel Johnston? What is the devil? What is the name of the... There's a documentary, fantastic.
Okay.
And I had just been watching that, and for somehow, and again, I don't think either of those two ingredients speak to the entire song, but they both sort of lit a fire on a couple different lines that grew into that song. And that song for me, luckily, was one of those rare gems that sort of all happened at once. I sat down and I wrote it and really didn't change a thing in the 7 minutes it took for all those words to pour out, you know.
Wow.
And I can point at a couple lines and say, yeah, that was the documentary and that was Warren Zevon. Otherwise, I think it's the age-old forlorn love.
Right.
You know, can't break a broken heart. I'm already there.
Yeah, that's one of those lines that just like I think everyone connects with easily. So.
Right on. Right. Well, I've gotten people saying, "No, you can do, you can." I've had my broken heart broken again. You know? So everybody's got a different take on it, but that was mine, at least one of them anyway. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. So how has your quarantine been? What have you been doing since everything got shut down?
First of all, I've got to say we are quarantined in paradise here in Vermont. We're very, very lucky, and I live south of the city of Burlington and out in the country, and so you fall out our back door and there's a river and a mountain and trees and crazy wild animals. We had a bear visit a couple times, 3 times I think a bear showed up at our house this summer. And so again, for me it's just a matter of choosing a perspective, right? I can answer this question all doom and gloom and tell you all about the negative things that are true for so many of us right now. But I've tried really hard and will continue to try to focus on the fact that we're in paradise and that I've got 2 kids and we've gotten out the door a lot more than we might have otherwise. And, it maybe is cliche, but every negative situation brings about moments that wouldn't have otherwise happened. And I think certainly quarantine has made countless situations that wouldn't have otherwise happened that are very positive. And so the long answer to your question is quarantine has been okay. I found myself early on saying, thank goodness this is happening during springtime. When things are getting warmer and life is happening and things are growing, and
as opposed to going into winter,
as opposed to right now, right, where we hoped that we'd find ourselves in a different position by this point. And so I'm hopeful again to hold on to the positive, because I think the next number of months, for a lot of different reasons, are going to be a bit heavier and maybe more challenge.
I've been equally impressed watching people come up with different solutions to try and get their music out there. Certainly Ryan and the crew here at Robot Dog Studio have been doing a great job about getting live streams out there and getting some music to people. And I think they had some help from Higher Ground and a bunch of other people.
Right on.
And so it's just interesting to watch the whole community come together as much as they can.
Well, and that's something I need to talk with both of these guys about when we're off camera, because that's one thing that really has, just prior to the quarantine, without getting into too much, about 5 years ago, I put a lot of things on the shelf because of some family health stuff going on, and I'm in the middle of working on my 9th album at the time, and that went on a shelf, and I played all the gigs I had on the books at the time that this news hit. And then for the last 9 years, I've been sort of dealing with, or 9 years, 5 years, dealing with that, and had just really in the last year and a half, started to gig a bit more with Josh Glass and Julia Beerworth and Duck Duck Goose, the trio.
I love that name.
I had fun with that name as well, and with playing with those guys. So I had started booking some solo shows, and the drummer in my band, Salad Days, Malin Gross, was moved back up to Vermont, at least temporarily with all the craziness, and so the band could start playing. Anyway, I had a bunch of things on the books, and then March hit, and everything disappeared for everybody. So the one thing that I haven't done a lot during quarantine is find ways to get my music out there. And as I mentioned to you, and what I want to talk to these guys about are ways to do that, because this is a great time, again, to find the positive would be to educate myself a bit more on how to use my MacBook and take a video of me and cut the ends and put it up online and get new things and old things and all things up there for people to check out.
And equally, I think you sent me a message about, when you start doing the Robot Dog things, I want to really do one. And that really kind of pushed me to help want to get back and doing it anyway, a little bit more than anything else, too, because I've been aching to have you on the show for ages.
Right on, thank you.
But it was really I was worried about September when everyone was going back to school, and I was so impressed that the numbers did not just go out of control. And so I'm feeling like we're feeling pretty safe here, and we can do it now.
Don't say it out loud, right? I hear you. Well, I'm happy to be here. Like I said, I've wanted to do this for a long time and have my ducks in a row, so to speak. And when you asked me this time, I realized, okay, the ducks can be all scattered. I'll come in and do it anyway, and capture this moment in time. So
nice. So speaking of ducks in a row, what song would you like to play next?
I'd love to do a song off the new album that I'm working on. The album is called Handsome Devil, and the song, pardon me, is a song called Solitary Crow. And if I might, just for a second, to answer the last question about the last song preemptively here, this song, the idea was born out of that whole sort of one crow, what is it? One crow sorrow, two crows joy, three crows a girl, four crows a boy. It goes on to 7, I think. It started with magpies. It's this old saying, and the idea of a single crow being an omen of bad luck, like something bad's going to happen. It's a bringer of bad news. And so I had this idea of solitary crow, tell me what you know, break it to me slow, say it isn't so, solitary crow. So this idea. And I wrote this probably 4 years ago, maybe longer than that, 4 or 5. And I certainly don't claim to be a prophetic songwriter, but this song may lyrically speak more now than it did then. And then it might have been a more personal, more personal thing for me to sing, and now it sort of applies to everywhere you turn. So that's sort of the backstory or the idea behind this song, and with certain lines in the song, I just think work really well right now. We're cut, but no one knows. The truth is slowly soaking through our clothes. That sort of thing. And I also have to say, I've not that I've tried to do it for years, but I'm really happy that I got the word ubiquitous into a song. So this is Solitary Crow. No one knows. The truth is slowly soaking through our clothes. None of this by accident, caused by all we chose. Someone here stole into the role of solitary crow. Break it to me slow, tell me what you know, say it isn't so, solitary crow. We swear there is hope here again. Still fights are forced on peaceful men. Intolerance ubiquitous now, somehow love is made a sin. We cannot pretend that good always wins. Solitary crow, break it to me slow, tell me what you know, say it isn't so, solitary crow. We close our eyes and sleep. We close our hearts and weep. Overwhelmed by all we feel, we cannot breathe for weeks. When the news leaks, blood drains from our cheeks. Solitary crow, break it to me slow, tell me what you know,
Yay!
Yay. Thank you.
Oh, I really like that one.
Right on, thank
I
you.
don't think I've heard that one before.
Yeah, I don't know that you would have.
Because I've seen you a couple times play a bunch of music, especially with Josh Glass and Julia.
Yeah.
You're with. But yeah, I don't know if I've heard that one. That was kind of cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to get this album together. It's, for a long time I expected to come back and really work on it, and I've come back to it, and I'm really happy with where it went on the shelf, actually. Certainly with some tweaks, and I'm in the process of mixing it right now. And I have a lot of different players on this one, similar to the Miss Reddy Blossom album, where I got a lot of local luminaries and some very far away people as well singing and playing on it. And that song is probably the biggest orchestration on the album. Ethan Waldman is playing a whole string section that we worked up, and Johnny Day Duran is playing the saw.
Oh, nice.
And Steve Haddock, Tyler Bowles. It's a great lineup. I think Josh Glass may be on the keys on that one as well. It is. I'm just really happy. I'm excited about getting this album out. And as much as I was going to probably work on it, and maybe, historically, as you may know, or some of the discs that I handed you guys earlier, you'll see that it's not uncommon for me to have an 18-song album, a 16-song album, another 18-song album. I released a double disc with 42 songs on it, as ridiculous as that was. And this one, I was going to probably have a few more songs on it, but I think it's going to be probably 10 or 11, and I'm just going to put out what I have done to get it out, but also for the sake of closing that chapter and starting a new chapter. And I think for me, that's prior to the news that I mentioned that came to my family in 2015. I was just prolific as all get out. I've released probably 250 something songs to date, and I have more than that haven't been released that probably never will be. And I would write 3 songs in a weekend and all that kind of stuff. And now over the last 5 years, I've written 4 songs or something, like crazy. I've still come up, I'm still coming up with lyrical ideas that I jot down, or a little guitar lick that I record quickly. But I just haven't had the time, the focus, the energy to sit down and do the work that is required to put them into a song and turn them into a song. So part of releasing this album for me is hopefully closing that chapter, as I said, and then breaking the dam, and hopefully getting back to it so I can turn some of these bits and pieces into songs.
Yeah, it sounds like a good plan. So.
Yeah, that's my hope anyway.
Yeah, and I do want to just mention that I'm very happy that your family is doing well. And,
Thank you so much, Tim. Yeah,
a lot of people were worried about you and for quite some time, and
right on. And I'm captain over communicator. I talk too much, and I'm happy to talk about anything. And just certainly for those people watching or listening who are unaware, at the time, my 4-year-old son was diagnosed with leukemia. And it's sort of a brutal run in the best of situations. And I think I nutshell it by saying we did have the best version of the worst news. The treatment is about 4 years long, and the treatment was beautiful. He is a champ. He's 9 now, and he's a typical pain-in-the-butt 9-year-old kid. And
I remember seeing you at the Double E in Essex, and I think he was swinging around in some of the bars.
He's setting fires and tipping cars over and stuff. Yeah, he actually asked if he could come here tonight. He did.
Nice.
As I was heading out the door, he's like, "Can I come?" I was like, "I'd love you to, but we got to get something done." So, so thank you. Yeah, he's doing great, and it's life is crazy, right? And and thank goodness for all of that. So. Anyway, so thank you for saying.
Okay, you want to dive in and play another one?
Sure.
What's this one going to be called?
I'm going to play another song off the yet-to-be-released album. The song is called Thinking of Levon. It was written, I have a dear friend I used to play in a band with. Justin Gwip is a fantastic engineer, incredible drummer, great guy. And he worked with Levon Helm for the last decade plus of Levon's life. And Justin's got a few Grammys thanks to his engineering and producing work on the Dirt Farmer albums and such. And And when Levon passed, this was another song that really just sort of fell out very quickly. And it's not really, it's not specifically about Levon, but it's sort of, it's more thoughts on life in the wake of his passing with him on my mind.
Okay, cool.
The heart won't let you say goodbye, and the heart won't let you break down and cry. Be you the king way up on the hill, or dig you the grave for you to fill. And I'm thinking of leaving. It's not a sad thought. I got it all right here, everything I could ever want, and I ain't going nowhere. So there's no sense in grieving, I'm just singing my song, thinking of Levon. And there's no escaping, there's no avoiding, there's no evading. This life just keeps on giving, and there's no sure thing, no brass ring. It's a hell of a way to make a living. And I'm thinking of leaving, but it's not a sad thought. Got it all right here, everything I could ever want, and I ain't going nowhere. So there's no sense in grieving, I'm just singing my song, thinking of Levon. Gather your dreams and hopes, tie them tight with chains and ropes. Don't let them go up in smoke, don't tear them to the ground. And pray for heavy rain, for mercy to remove the pain. Hang your love up in a frame, keep it safe and sound. And I'm thinking of leaving, but it's not a sad thought. I got it all right here, everything I could ever want, and I ain't going nowhere. So there's no sense in grieving, I'm just singing my song, thinking of Levon. Yeah, I'm just singing my song, thinking of Levon. Well, I'm just singing my song, thinking of Levon.
Yay!
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, that was really cool too.
Right on. Thank you. Yeah, it's funny to write songs and come back to lyrics and like them. Mm-hmm. You know, it took me years and years of writing a pile of crap and hopefully one or two songs in there that are worthwhile to get to a place where I could say, hey, again, this isn't so bad, you know. and it's certainly in an occupation, in a business where you need to be able to say, hey man, check this out, it's worth your time, kind of thing. And I got scared off very early with a couple run-ins to some real cocky jerks, to put it nicely. And I got so turned off of that attitude that I went the other direction, and it took me a long time to get back to it. And anyway, as it takes me a long time to get back to the point, when I first started talking about this song, the lyrics of this song, again, were lyrics that fell out onto the page. I really like these lyrics, and it's nice to be able to feel that and actually say it out loud. Yeah. But I also, I guess I feel the need to add the disclaimer that I can only take partial credit for the lyrics. I held the pen, and I owned the paper, I guess, that I wrote them down. But a lot of times it's like being an antenna, and if you're lucky on a good day, you write stuff down and you look at it and you go, where did that come from? I have no idea where that came from, but isn't that cool? That's it's a cool color, or a cool twist, or a cool perspective or something. So that's one of them that the whole song, I wouldn't go back and change a line. And, I have lots of songs where I really like lots of the song, but then maybe that third verse, the second line and the third verse, I always, that's not a great line or something. But that song, I like all the lines in that song. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of cool to just kind of go out into the world and put yourself out there, and then realize that the world sometimes says, hey, if you're putting yourself out here, I'm going to throw a little extra energy your way, and in ways that we can't even understand, but just suddenly realize.
Well, I just think that's the thing about creating. Whatever you're creating, whether you're recording stuff, whether you're filming stuff, whether you're making shows, whether you're making songs, dancing, whatever it is, first, I think everybody should create. Because everybody does and can, whether they give themselves credit for it or not. And secondly, I think there's something about beyond the level of awareness that we have as humans. There's something that goes on when you're free enough to try. Whatever that means, and not be worried about what the critics are going to say or the guy next to you is going to say. And I would venture to say you'll be pleasantly surprised if you're willing to put yourself out there to try and create, and then put your creations out there. That can be a pretty anxiety-ridden thing to say, hey, aren't I pretty? Isn't that cool? And that's another thing I'm just so thankful for, and again, only can feel like I take minimal ownership of. Is the sort of that level of feedback I've gotten at every stage of my musical career and still to this day, I have people saying things that if I sat down and I wrote the most amazing things somebody could say to me about my music, people outdo, they do better than I could ever do. And they always surprise me, and they come from all over the place. And they can be so simple, too. I recall one time I did a West Coast tour opening for the Samples in a bunch of amazing venues. We played Red Rocks, and we played the Great American Music Hall, and we played beautiful theaters in Boulder and Denver. And at one of the final shows, I was up in the balcony. I'd opened the show, done my half an hour, 45 minutes. And, of course, the venue was packed full of people to see the Samples. They didn't know who I was. And luckily, the Samples draw a great college crowd, and there were these two beautiful college-age women, I think. That's my memory of it. And the lights had come up, and the 2-hour show had gone, and my set was way in the past. And as they left, one of the ones sort of farther away caught my eye, and she looked at me and just said, "You're a poet." And they kept walking, and I thought, that's amazing. I mean, she didn't know who I was 4 hours ago. Mm-hmm. She remembered my set. She came to see the Sample. She remembered my set well enough to spot me in the crowd as she left, and felt the desire, the need to share that with me. And it's it can be as simple as that. That's such an incredible thing that obviously all these years later I'm still carrying around, and it's still is part of my buoyancy that keeps me floating. And I actually just this past week got an email or message on Facebook from somebody I don't really know, who said, hey man, I've only seen you a few times, but every time you've blown me away. And then he added the last sentence, "Remember that, you blow people away." And I thought, gosh, I mean, I don't know, how to respond to that other than thank you. That's just such an incredible thing for someone to share. And it is part of the reason that I come out here tonight, or we'll get back on the next stage or release the next album, is because it's the idea that you can connect with people on levels that you never imagined, and to extents that you never imagined, in ways that you never imagined. So.
Yeah, that's the thing about putting yourself out there too, is that we all need different things.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't play music at all, so I need people who can play music.
Yeah.
And so I can appreciate music, so I can kind of bring that cycle back.
Yeah.
And it really kind of works out that way if we all kind of work together.
It's incredible. Yeah, no, it's... I'm so thankful that the world is full of people with different passions, right?
Yeah.
Because I could not be a doctor. I could not cut somebody open. I couldn't,
exactly.
period. I'm not, you know, and luckily, I think that there are really people fall into grooves. I wish that the society at large did it more often. That everybody sort of fell where they wanted to, you know, and then I think that that's an unfortunate reality of our monetarily based society, et cetera, that people don't. But when they do, it things seem to line up even better, because there are people sort of covering all the bases, you know.
Yeah, I was thinking earlier today about the symbiosis between art and music.
Yeah.
Because a musician goes out, puts an album together, but you want to get the album noticed, so you need some really nice artwork.
Yeah.
And the artists need a place to get their artwork out and into the hands of many people. And it's really kind of a neat interaction, I think.
Yeah, well, and that's part of releasing albums that I really enjoy. I mean, I luckily I enjoy every bit of the process. I love being in studios. I'm so happy to these guys, Ryan and Sam. Thank you guys for having me in your space. This is a fantastic space, and it just, the energy in studios that I think is very much created by the people who create the studios. Yeah. But the whole process of making an album, from coming up with stuff, being in Antenna, writing it down, working out the songs, tracking stuff. I love, you know, I don't consider myself, you know, a pianist, but I can play the piano. I don't, you know, I'm not a drummer, but I've recorded many of my albums are me playing everything, you know, just because I had so much fun, you know, and don't have enough people around me telling me not to. So, but certainly one of the things I really enjoy is putting artwork together. I mean, I grew up really wanting to release vinyl, you know, and the idea of releasing some big gatefold with a poster and the lyrics, and somebody go home and put on headphones and lay down and listen to this whole album and read along. That's still what I'm doing, you know, in this day and age where it's probably the most ridiculous thing to do, because people are buying single songs that are zeros and ones floating in some cloud somewhere. But I'm still putting out albums that I hope, you know, they're, you know, a smaller profile, but I still hope people take them home, and, you know, get out a magnifying glass if you need to and read the lyrics along with it, and put on some headphones. And
the older we get, the more the magnifying
glasses come into play. Well, and you know, like you were saying with the artwork, I think I'm thinking now too about the order of the songs on an album. You know, I really want certain songs to lead into another song, energy-wise, lyric-wise, that sort of thing. But then, coming together and putting the artwork together is such an enjoyable process, and it really is just another layer of what it is you're creating, you know, and to either do some artwork yourself or to find an artist or a piece that really feels like it fits. I'm pretty sure I know what the cover of this next album is going to be, and it's actually by an artist out in Arizona, a guy named Steve Franz, who did the cover of my album Giving Up the Ghost.
Okay. Oh, nice.
And it's another one of his pieces that's just knocked me over when I first saw it, and I think it really works with the energy and the mood of this album. And it's a fun process, and it is a really cool place where those two different disciplines come together, you know, and luckily the artists get to cross paths as well. You know, I think that's because I think a lot of times. It's a funny thing, because musicians, you go out and you stand on the stage in front of a bunch of people, but otherwise so many musicians, and I think a lot of artists are perhaps most comfortable in their studio, you know, by themselves, working through things. And you know, there are so many musicians and artists who I've met. I'm like, man, that guy or that lady, that person is so cool. I want to go hang out with them. I want to be friends with them. And then realize, like, okay, that's not ever going to happen, because I don't go hang out with people, and they don't want me coming hanging out with them. But they're still really cool, and I really like their work or their energy,
Yeah.
But so yeah, when we actually get to work on a project, it's always nice when those different people, different energies come together. It's a beautiful thing.
So you want to dive in and play another song?
Sure, why not? It's a song called Names that will be on the new album, Handsome Devil. And it's a duet that I was lucky enough to have Miriam Bernardo come in and sing along with me on. And I won't try to replicate her voice on her parts, but you'll know where the two parts are. And my mom thinks that it's another sort of song that the moment in time that we're in right now, the song speaks to it beautifully. So, and it's essentially the lyric of the chorus is, we know the world is crazy. We know the world thinks we're out of bounds. Like we have some relationship that the world doesn't recognize or think is okay. And we'll win them to our cause and stand in the applause, hand in hand, man and woman, man and man, woman and woman, understand. And initially the idea was to have it recorded with a male voice and a female voice. Mm-hmm. And then the same exact song, I was going to retake it with two female voices singing to each other, and then do a version also with two male voices singing to each other.
Nice.
Because I think it works in any and all versions that are out there. So this is Names right now. Sometimes I am held up against a wall. Sometimes I'm just held down. And sometimes she's the light that breaks in and gives sight, and gives taste, and gives touch, and gives sound. Sometimes I wish I had someplace I could go, someplace where I could rest. And sometimes it is he, when he lies to me and tells me I am the best. And we know this world is out of its mind, and this world says that we are out of bounds. We will win them to our cause and stand in the applause, side by side, hand in hand, man and woman, man and man, woman and woman, understand and be smart. 'Cause sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will only break my heart. Sometimes words can cut you down to the bone. Sometimes words can save like rain saves the crop. Still she keeps me whole. He has settled in my soul. We are mountaintop water drops. And we know this world is out of its mind, and this world says that we are out of bounds. We will win them to our cause and stand in the applause, side by side, hand in hand, man and woman, man and man, woman and woman, understand and be smart. 'Cause sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will only break my heart. Oh yeah, names will only break my heart. I said names will only break my heart. Oh, they'll only break my heart.
Yay!
Yeah.
That one I think I have heard before.
Yeah,
When you got into that rising chorus there,
Right
I
on.
just feel something really familiar just rising in me. It's like, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I've played that one out a couple times, I think.
Okay, so basically I hadn't really set up too many questions, but I did actually have one question, which I kind of know the answer to because it's a story that you've told a few times
Yeah.
live, and I would just love for you to tell it to all the lovely people out there. Have you ever met a Beatle?
Ooh. That's a loaded question, isn't it? Yes, luckily, miraculously, I have. Yeah, I've been, again, blessed in this life, lucky. So I'll say first that I've seen Ringo perform many times, been pretty darn close to him in live situations.
That's cool.
I've seen Paul perform a number of times, been not quite as close to
Yeah.
Paul as the case may be. And actually, my daughter, who is now, gosh, she just turned 13, I can't believe that. She went, by the time she was 2.5, she was a bigger Beatles fan than I was. I am, and I'm a big Beatles fan. And I recall just before her 3rd birthday, we'd been listening to Revolver a lot in the car, and we went in to see where my wife was working at the time, and Ruby sat up on the counter, and another person who worked there was a big fan of the Beatles, and Ruby went through the album, 14 tracks, in order, who sang each song, who wrote each song, and in about 3 or 4 of the situations, what the song was about. And I thought, I'm just the most proud father in the world. On her 3rd birthday cake, she had Paul McCartney.
Nice.
Which was actually, my wife is an artist, and she, with frosting and a toothpick, drew Paul McCartney. I will share a photo with you guys. It's Paul McCartney. It's amazing how she did that. And Ruby's first concert was Ringo. And a big, she's seen me perform a bunch, but her first big concert was Ringo. And I've brought her to Paul twice now. And for a period of time, I think she announced that Paul was her father. And then later on, as she got older, she announced that she was going to marry Paul and all that stuff. So that's the long backstory too. The question you asked is, my father lived on the island of Maui for about 30 years. And he lived for the first decade. He was out there in a very rural part of Maui, sort of detached, beautiful, beautiful area. And to get there, you would fly a little 18-seater plane that would land on one strip of tarmac, and the airport there was a roof with one wall and 3 open sides, and 3 people who worked there. And it's an area where Richard Pryor had a home. I've been lucky enough to hang out with Chris Christopherson a number of times because my father knew him, and we'd go to parties at his place, and his kids would be on the beach all the time, all that sort of stuff. So, and we knew that George Harrison had a home down the coast a little ways. And on this fateful day, my father had a meeting he was going to Honolulu. From Maui, which Honolulu is on the island of Oahu, and so he was going to catch a plane, and I went there with a couple of my older brothers and a woman I was dating at the time, and we got there a little early. The plane wasn't there yet, empty tarmac, a few people, and no other cars. We were the only one waiting for the plane, and then a Toyota Land Cruiser pulled in with Jeff Lynne and George Harrison in it, and the plane landed, and we said goodbye to my dad, and George said goodbye to Jeff Lynne, and Jeff and my dad were the only 2 people that got on the plane, and it took off, and there's George Harrison standing there, and I just thought, the last thing I want to do is be that guy, or probably a long list of those guys for him. But I also thought, I can't not. So I approached him and just asked if it would be okay to have a photo taken with him. He was standing there talking with one of the people who worked at the airport, and he was very gracious. He's no problem at all, and had a photo taken with him, which you've seen the photo. And thought that was wonderful. Got in the car and we drove into town. And town is, the post office is the general store, is the gas station. And if you literally blink your eyes, you're through the town. And We pulled in to get some gas, and a minute and a half behind us, George Harrison pulled in to do some shopping or something, and because we had just broken the ice down at the airport, he stopped and we talked, and probably talked for 10 or 15 minutes about nothing, about the weather and the shoreline and the surf that day, and and again, just gracious and everyman kind of thing, and so that's my story of meeting George Harrison. Yeah,
that's so cool. Yeah, I just love that, and I thought everyone would love hearing it.
Right on. Yeah, I love it too. We had a neighbor who was a great talker and probably wasn't totally full of it, but claimed to be connected to George and know George, and he always threatened to bring me down to George's and I'd go jam with George. And I'm sorry that never happened, but I'll take the meeting at the airport and the general store. I'm happy with that. So,
nice.
Yeah.
So I think we have enough time for one more song. What are you going to close with tonight?
This is a song off the album I mentioned earlier, the double disc called Half Mast, and the song is called Dizzy. And I haven't played it in a long time, but it's one I enjoy playing. So. This is Dizzy.
Let my love open the door. Let my love open the door. Let my love open the door to your heart. Sun up, okay, day 2 is underway. Then it's on to day 3. Day 3, I see the sun is also rising, and I feel gone more often than I used to be.
Day 4, what's more, I've no idea of when these days are ending. Day 5, I just wanna know if I'm alive. Everything is crazy, perfect, but it can't be. And everything just makes me dizzy. Oh, so dizzy. It makes me dizzy. A spinning field of flowers, draining all my breath. The muse's sunshine is wet, and beautiful I go away, and beautiful I know to stay. Beautiful the plan in the hands of grace. Everything is crazy, perfect, but it can't be. And everything just makes me dizzy. Oh, so dizzy. Discuss the rules of touch. You cannot love too many, you cannot love too much. You simply cannot have what you need now. What hurts who anyhow? Everything is crazy, perfect, but it can't be. And everything just makes me, yeah, everything is crazy, perfect, but it can't be. And everything just makes me dizzy. Oh, so dizzy.
Oh, that one's so much fun.
Right on, thank you. Yeah, I have fun playing that, banging away.
Yeah, it's fun to watch you play it too.
Thank you. I just feel like I'm dancing with the guitar.
Nice.
That's all it is. Yeah.
Well, I really want to thank you so much for coming in and playing this show.
Yeah.
And I really want to thank Ryan and Sam for doing the recording and the video for this. And I'm really psyched that we're back and doing this.
Yeah, man.
Again.
And right back at you, Tim. I can't thank you enough for pulling me out to do this. Ryan and Sam, I can't thank you guys enough. In all of the normal ways that I'd be thanking you if this were normal times, but even more so because of the times. This is helping me light the fire of getting my own wheels turning again, and musically, but also just getting out. And this is fantastic. I've had a blast tonight, and I'm excited that it's been recorded.
Yeah.
So thank you guys very much, and thanks to everybody out there. Stay safe, stay strong, and we'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Okay, let's head on back to the WBKM studio.